Would you please turn to page 128? We are going to give thanks for our being together. I'm going to give thanks that so many of you came out on a rainy summer night. I truly appreciate it. At the top of the page, this is what is good, what is pleasant, is sitting together with, literally here, it says brothers and sisters, right? But my siblings are down south. And yet we are sitting with our brothers and sisters because as members of the tribe, as those of us who are parts and families of members of the tribe, as those of us who've decided to join with us tonight, we have become a family just by sharing our space. Shelley, would you do us the honor of coming up and lighting our Shabbat candles for us? Everybody, the blessing is on page 120. Now that we have lit our candles, we can say Shabbat Shalom because our candles bring in the light, mirroring the light of our foremother Sarah, who, it is said, lit her candles on Friday night and they stayed lit until the end of Shabbat. So now I would like you to please turn to someone next to you, preferably someone you have not yet wished a Shabbat Shalom, and please wish them a Shabbat Shalom. Say welcome. We have some new folks with us. We're so excited to have them. Absolutely wonderful. So I'm going to give you some good news and some bad news. The good news is that Josh is here. The bad news is that this is the only instrument I play. The other good news is that you each have one of them. And so if you each put a little bit of your instrument in with mine, and we add that to Josh's inner instrument and the mandolin, we can make a joyful noise, which is exactly what our Kabbalat Shabbat songs are about. And those start on page 130 with Lechuna Lanina. And don't worry, if you don't know the words, you can always die to the tune, or just hum along, or anything that you wish to do that makes you feel what's happening inside. Okay? Ooh, 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 And by the way, if you have blue brackets in the bottom of your page where the page numbers are, follow me on the blue brackets. And if you don't worry about it too much. So the first two lines of that last paragraph on 132, light is sown for the righteous and joy for the upright in heart. And this is a clapping song. And you can join me as soon as you pick up the rhythm. But you can also join me very easily at the beginning with or. Can you say or? Or can't you? Oh. That's it. That's the whole first line. So if I start moving and you don't know the rest of the words, just keep doing that. And feel free to give it a little bit of harmony. Okay, up or down. It's all your call. Oh, you hold that note. Oh, excellent. Oh, please turn to page 138 as we greet the Shabbat bride. Why is Shabbat a bride? It's an interesting conversation about lying in the Talmud, about whether it's ever okay to say a lie. And of course, the rabbis say, oh, no, never okay, right? And then one of them says, so what do you do if you go to a wedding and you see the bride and she's ugly? Particularly because in Judaism, it is customary when you see a bride to tell her how lovely she is and how beautiful she is. And so, of course, the rabbis, being rabbis, have a long conversation about this. I mean, they spent about 1,000 years arguing about everything, so why not? And finally, one of them says, it's not a lie to tell a bride that she is beautiful, even if she is the most hideous creature you have ever seen in your life. Because when you see a bride, you must look at her through the eyes of her future husband. You must understand that we all have our faults and our flaws and our nose too crooked and eye too small and hair too far back and things too big and too small and misshapen, whatever it is that we don't fit into our culture's photoshopped sense of beauty. And the truth is that the more you love someone, the more beautiful they become. Because that's when you get to see who they really are. And that beauty then shines through. They never quite answered whether it's okay to lie. They just came up with an idea for why it wasn't a lie. We are going to welcome the Sabbath bride, who is beautiful in all of her glory because the Sabbath bride brings us our weekly slice of peace. We're going to sing verse 1 and 2, then verse 5, and then we're going to rise and turn toward the door for verse 9. Okay? Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Shamor v'zachor v'diburecha, yishlianu el hamiuchad, Adonai Shemo echad, Hashem ol tiferet v'litzvila. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat Shabbat lechumenecha, ki mikor habracha, ve'erosh mi'edem nesucha, sof ma'aseh ben-Moshe batchila. Lecha dudi, lecha dudi l'kala, Shabbat Ram besimcha v'tzola, tochenu ne'asura, lo yikala, lo yikala. Lecha dudi, lecha dudi, I hope that at this point you are feeling that beauty, that wonderful sense of calm that comes from moving into the ritual space of our brain with each other. That community, that sense of connectedness is what lifts our voices up to those beautiful chandeliers. And probably now, but it's also what lifts the parts of our heart that are yearning for healing, for love, for peace, for the things that we as Jewish people yearn for, all of which together make up Tikkun Olam, the making better of the world, the healing of the world. We are going to continue on page 142 with Shalom Aleichem. Does anybody here drum? Does anybody here want to drum? Okay, there's a drum over there. If anybody feels like drumming, go pick it up. Join us. More music is always good. Okay. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Shalit, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech, Malachei Hamelachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Shalit, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech, Malachei Hamelachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Bochem Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Bochem Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech, Malachei Hamelachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Bochem Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech, Malachei Hamelachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Techem Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Y'all are doing a lovely job. Choir rehearsal is Tuesdays at 6:15. Just so you know. Please rise. We're going to begin the main part of our service with our traditional call to prayer. It's on page 146. You may be seated. Please turn the page. And please join me on the top of page 149. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide, time, and light, you guide the current of day to tide. As heaven stands to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai hama'alev alavim. And on the following page, does anyone have a favorite here? Oh, I didn't mean a tune. But I like that one too. That's a great tune. Let's take a reading. Everlasting love, on the bottom of page 150. Everlasting love, you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. The rabbis ask, how is it possible that doing mitzvot lengthens our days when we know that our time is our time and that's what it is? And what they say is that the study of Torah gives us insight. It allows us to live our lives in ways that are fulfilling, in ways that lengthen our days the same way that doing something you love makes you want to go back and do more of it. It lengthens our days not in the catch-22 Snowden version, where as long as you remain bored, time will pass slowly, but rather in the way of Torah, by showing us who we are, so that we can then be better us, and in doing so, live lives that no matter their length have been worth living. On page 152, please join me for the Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Leo, would you be okay with coming up to Haftar with me? In case you don't know, my students are the best. Okay. Turn the page to 154. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך, ושמתם לבניך ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך ולכתך בדרך, ושוכבך ובקומך, ושבתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בעיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך, ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם. They really are the best. Okay, page 158. We are going to sing our freedom song. Can you imagine how scary it must have been to stand at the sea? You got water in front of you, and you probably didn't have swimming lessons because you were a slave. You got people on chariots with weapons behind you, and they're closing in. And nobody makes a move. Everyone is holding their collective breath, listening to their inner fear, until one person steps in and nothing happens. And he steps in further and it's up to his knees and nothing happens. And he goes further and it's up to his chest and nothing has happened. And everyone's taking miniature steps back. And finally, when it's just about here, the water departs. All of this is because we have to be partners with God in our lives. And we all face fear. But when we face fear, rather than taking miniature steps away, we are more likely to succeed. And then when we get across, we get to have a party. Even better. I'm sorry, I don't know if I told you, page 158. Please join me. Please rise and join me on page 164 for our Amidah, our silence in prayer, because it's not all silent. We're going to sing the other rest of the tie and then the first three blessings together. Adonai Sefata Tiftahu Via Gitehilata. Adonai, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Eloheinu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor והנורא, והיום, גומר חסדים טובים, וגומר הכל, וזוכר חסרות דמעות, ומביא גאולה לבניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר מושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם, השרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה למושיע, מוריד אתה, מחכה חסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים והופך עולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו, לשלם מי כמוך בגבורות, ומדום אליו, מלך מביט ומחיה, ומשיח ישועה, למען לחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיה הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללו חסדה, ברוך אתה אדוני, המלך הקדוש. Please take a few minutes for your own silent prayer. You can follow the book or not, that's all yours to decide. And as I tell my students, if you don't know what to say, just close your eyes, reach into your heart, and try to think, if I were face to face with God, which you are, what would I say? Each one interpretation. Oh, may the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable before you, oh God, my rock and my redeemer. Oh, say shalom b'romah. Oh, yes, and shalom. Holy Spirit, Josh, you can hear. What we're handing out is the lyric sheet for the Levine version of Shabbat because it's not in the book. This is the point in time in our service when we speak the names of those among us who are in need of healing, as well as the names of our loved ones who are in need of healing. Our temple members include April D'Amato, Norma Diamond, Josh Lipschitz, Patty Sussman, Mark Warner, Eric Mans, Larry Pepper, Froman Davis, and Alan Myers. And our loved ones include Chana Bat Emma Ve'Yael, Barak Yaakov Ben Avram Sarah, Tamar Bat Rachel, Moshe Ben Rachel, Rav Chaim Ben Leah, Jill Lakar, Connie Ambrosino, Mickey Bart, Jay Fliss, Josh Rusinko, Michelle Rusinko, Flo Siegelman, Babs Weiss, Joan Prisculo, Jack Dock, Bart Young, Mark Osterreicher, Matthew Pincus, Sydney Sher, Soraya Casey, Joan Shapiro Green, Marvin Goldberg, Florence Harth, John Van Steenbergen, Saffron Castle, Monica Caposiello, Phoebe Apgar, Phoebe Williams, Paul Frisman, Bruce Petroff, Stephanie Morris-Smith, Raymond Wolf, Kim Weeder, Tim Marr, Ben Peck, Marion Macon, Martha Potter, Mark Potter, Palma Posey, Gloria Newell, Sabin Meyer, Carol Bartlett, Adrian Wasserman, Trevor Jones, Peter David, Aaron Ordefer, Kevin Susi, Emily Berry, Ira Weiss, Dee Rosenberg Baraba, Davis Chamberlain, and Maureen Victor. If you would like to add a name, please just raise your hand, or if you're on Zoom, please type it into the chat.
Elaine Gurman.
Elaine Gurman. Daniel Hagen. Michelle Noy.
Marnie Katz.
Marnie Katz.
Carol Robb.
Carol Robb. Anyone else? Okay. So please take a look at your page. Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Mishaberach Limoteinu, Samarim Alea B'Rofet, May bless our fathers, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, bless us as well, bless us with the power of your healing, bless us with the power of your hope. May our hearts be filled with understanding and strengthened by the power of your love. Mishaberach Avotenu, Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov. Mishaberach Avotenu, Saraviv Kalea B'Rachel. May bless our fathers, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well. So, Dina and Dvorah, lifelong friends. One day, Dina needs to borrow Dvorah's toolkit. So she starts walking up the hill to ask, but as she does so, she suddenly remembers that a week prior, she kind of criticized something that her friend had done, and Dvorah hadn't really taken it that well. I was trying to help, Dina thought to herself, but it was in public, her own mind said back. I said I was sorry, she shot back at herself. Well, her mind responded, too bad, I'm not letting you have my tools just so you can tell people how badly I use them. This went on, back and forth. Dina's mind continued all the way up the hill, so that by the time she knocked on the door, already shaking with the hurt, and Voa answered it. Seeing her friend in tears, Dvora said, hi, Dina, are you okay? What's up? And yelling, Dvora responded, you can keep your stupid tools. I don't need your help anyway. When I first heard this story, I guffawed. It was a laughter of recognition. I've been there. Most of us have. But why do we go there? In this week's portion, the Hebrews send 12 men of consequence. That's exactly the Torah's words. Well, except they're in Hebrew. To scout the land that Adonai has promised. And this is at Adonai's request, but it makes me wonder why, before I even get to the part we all know we're going to get to, where 10 of them come back and say, we're never going to make it, they're giants, they'll destroy us. I wonder why God sent these folks to look at the land before they got there. Maybe sending men of consequence. God hopes for positive PR via word of mouth, But really, God should have known better. Setting aside the idea of omissions, I wonder what the scouts were thinking. It seems to me that having been through the crises of the Sea of Reeds, of the bitter waters of Marah, of the Golden Calf, that as a Hebrew, I would hope, I might have figured out that Adonai really is on my side. Also, having seen leaders of various uprisings and missteps get spontaneously combusted or swallowed whole by the earth, I would hope I'd have figured out that I maybe need to be on Adonai's side too. But 10 men of consequence come back and report not only the massive size of the fruit, it takes 2 of them to carry a big pole with 1 vine of grapes, but they also talk about the massive size of the people, saying, quote, we looked like grasshoppers to ourselves, and so we must have looked to them. And that may be the key to what went wrong. The 10 scouts who gave the negative report were doing what we call judging our insides by others' outsides. We all do it. In fact, our entire culture is built on this premise. If we only see beautiful people in our media landscape, if we only see the good parts of life, carefully curated in our social media landscape, if we only see happiness and perfection in other families, we judge ourselves negatively. Advertisers use that to sell us makeup, clothes, that perfect vacation, the ring that will make someone love us. Every kiss does begin with K, at least in English. As well as diets, exercise equipment, hair products, drugs, all in the quest to make our insides match someone else's outsides. We live in FOMO culture. That's fear of missing out for those of you who've been missing out. Fear in general is a primary driver of people's actions. Most of us are not even fully aware of the actions we take out of fear. When we begin to recognize this fact, however, we can begin to see our fears, which helps us to face our fears. Maybe be a nachshon and walk into the water. Because the truth is that fear is in here. Danger may or may not be out there, and courage is the distance between the two. It takes courage to go out there to find out whether our fear accurately reflects the danger, or if it only reflects our understanding of our insides measured against someone else's outsides. I don't think the men of consequence were bad. I think they were suffering from land envy. I don't think the Hebrews were bad when they bemoaned with their favorite complaint. You should have just left us in Egypt to die. Can you think of a more Jewish mother response? Anyway, these are not bad people. They're hurt, yes. They're downcast, absolutely. They are still recovering from being oppressed, definitely. But more than anything else, they are afraid. So when God offers to destroy the entire people and make up for it, since he gave Abraham a promise, by making Moshe into a great nation, will Shem pushes back. He suggests that this will just make the Egyptians feel God is not a mighty God. I get this from an ancient's point of view, even if I think that appealing to God's sense of FOMO is a bit odd. Still, if God has fear, that should signal to us that our fear is a necessary part of our lives. And fear is definitely important. One should have fear in the face of real danger. Fearlessness is not bravery or courage. Fearlessness is just foolish. Rab Nachman of Bratslav famously said, Kol ha'olam kulo gesher tzad me'od v'ha'ikar lo lefachad klal. This sentence often gets translated as, the entire world is but a narrow bridge. The most important thing is not to fear at all. But that last clause is actually better translated as, the most important thing is not to fear everything. There's a difference there. We all have fear. But when we refuse to allow our fear to rule, when we fight against fearing everything, we can make choices and take actions more mindfully. The 10 men of consequence, who reported that the Hebrews could never overtake the giants of Canaan, led from fear. Caleb and Joshua, who said the land was theirs for the taking with God's help, were leading from a place of courage. Courage, by the way, is not the same as bravery. Courage comes from the Latin cur, meaning heart. To have courage is to take heart. Brave comes from the Latin barbaros, which means it moves into Spanish and French as bravo, meaning bold, untamed, and savage. Its root is savagery. Courage comes when we lean into loving God with all our hearts, all our souls, and all our might. Bravery comes from using our might, regardless of our heart. And I decided to save you from the 3 additional pages of language interpretation and etymology. When we recognize that all lives are messy, we judge our insides by another's outsides less often. We become less likely to buy into the concept of a perfect or ideal self. We can then see that even when we struggle, we are blessed and held by Adonai. What we see from thousands of years down the line is clearer than what the ancients saw and more opaque. Because we can see them and their plot line, we can ask, why didn't they just, but in our own daily lives, we often miss the why didn't I? Studying Torah gives us the chance to look at them and see us. Take heart. Shabbat shalom. Toby Mizell is now going to give us some announcements. Welcome us. Do you need the sheet? Oh, you have it. I have it. Yeah, just go ahead. And speak directly into it.
Shabbat shalom, everyone. And I know that we have some guests here, so Shabbat shalom and welcome to any guests that are here. We have a lot going on at TBT, so here's some of it. 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, we have mindfulness and meditation. And then at 9 o'clock, we have Torah study and Professor Jason Gaines. And any of you that haven't studied with him, he's from Tulane. He is just wonderful, so it's a really great opportunity. On Thursday, on June 22nd, the Social Justice Committee will be holding a meeting here at 7 o'clock. And parents, if you have children to come to the religious school, please remember to register them and get in touch with the office. We need to get the registration forms in. The Kol Ami Women's Group is out hiking almost every week. The hiking is for all levels, and all you have to do if you want to get on the email list so that you know where they're hiking and what time is just respond your RSVP to Lisa Harding, and it's right in the shofar. TBT is also looking for new members of the choir. We can always use new members of the choir. You don't have to have any great experience, just bring your enthusiasm and your voice along with you, and we'll do the rest. We We meet on Tuesday nights at 6:15 right here in the sanctuary. If you're looking for a way to celebrate either a milestone or to honor somebody, you might want to consider sponsoring an ONEG. It's really fun to do, particularly if you do it with friends. And the Religious Activities Committee will give you all the details and make it very easy. So, so think about it. You can just contact Leah at the office. Next weekend, we're going to be here again for Shabbat and celebrating the Bat Mitzvah of Clara Calvert and the installation of the board members. So Shabbat Shalom to everyone, and good weekend and a good week.
You do not need to know how to read music. You do not need to know how to rhyme. You only need to be able to use words. And to just give you an idea, your choir director is dyslexic and has difficulty reading music. We have members who read no music at all. And most of our members don't read Hebrew because, well, music is done in transliteration anyway. So whatever obstacle just came up in front of your face, is it, well, probably you can. Just push the obstacle down. Remember, don't leave with fear. Come and join us and sing. Please rise and turn to page 586 for Aleinu for the close of our service.
Aleinu לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת תפילה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשה גילויי הרצון, ולא שמענו כשפחות האדמה, שלא שם תפקינו בהם, וגורלנו ככל המונה, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים לפני מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני המלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו
Page number 1. If you wish to follow along, I'm on page 595. יש כוכבים שאורם מגיע ארצה רק כאשר הם עצמם עבדו ואינם. יש אנשים שזיו זכרם מאיר כאשר הם עצמם אינם עוד בטוחים. אורות אלה המפיקים בחשכת הלילה הם שמראים לאדם את הדרך. There are stars up above so far away we can only see their light long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with the people we loved. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us. As we live our days, these are the ways we remember. I've moved too many papers. Oh. Apologize for that. We are currently in Shiva Shoshim for Florence Harf, mother of Sue Grohl and Ted Langdon, and for Stephen Redmond, brother of Cynthia and David Greenblatt, and uncle of Stacy Reed. This week is also the yard site for Charles Gerber, Leo Ginsberg, Barney Goldstein, Jane Dorothy Richmond, Charles Frankel, Anna Hans, Julius Zulshan, Mark Geller, Joseph Steinlauf, Alfred Baslov, and John Miller. Please, if anyone has any names they would like added for this week's reference. Uziel ben Eliyahu. Susan Meyer. Ned Baslov. I'm sorry. Finger? Annette Baslov Finger. I heard finger twice and thought that can't be what I'm hearing, and I'm so sorry for that. Anyone else? Carol Cohn. Frank Justin. If you wish to rise to join in the Mourners Kaddish, please do so at this time. We are on page 594. Yitzkadal v'yitzkadash shemei rabba, ve'oman zivra v'chutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei t'chol v'esh Yisrael, v'hagala v'zman karliv v'yimru amen. Yehi shemei rabba v'rach le'olam v'romei amaya. Yitzbarach v'yishtabach v'yitahar v'yitaman v'yitaseh. V'yitadar v'yitameh v'yitadar shemei v'yishar v'yichu. V'elan mikol yirchata v'shirata. Tushbakata v'nechamata. Daminan v'olam v'yirur amen. Yehi shama rabba min shemaya. V'chaim ne'elim v'akol Yisrael v'yirur amen. Oseh shalom yamav. Huya yaseh shalom. Aleinu v'alot Yisrael. Amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all of Israel, to which we say, Amen. So speaking of rabbis who have 1,000-year long arguments, one of the interesting arguments is what comes first on Friday night, candles or wine or bread? And we do candles, wine, and bread because that is the decision that was made. But why was it made in such a way? And of course, Hillel and Shammai disagree because, well, that's what they're there for. But the reason that we light the candles before we have our Kiddush is because of what I said at the beginning of the service. Once those candles are lit, mirroring our foremother Shabbat has begun, even if we light them early. And by the way, by tradition, we light them at least 18 minutes early. Why? Because we can't wait for our Shabbat to start. You're not going to have Kiddush and Motzi, and I would really, really love it if anyone here who still has not been Baba Beth Tikvah and falls under the phrase Kiddush would come up and join me. We are on page 123. Hello, Miss Beth. I'm Dr. C. Nice to meet you. Hey, Lila. Nice to meet you. Let's get it up. All right. Want the bread? 123. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei elokei ha'afel. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav ve'atzah b'anim, v'shavach rosho v'yahavav ratzon v'yityayu, zikaron l'maaseh ki'u yom tevilah l'mikra'ei kodesh, zecher yetziat Mitzrayim, ki baruch b'chafta v'otanu kiddashta mikol
Ichatanu, Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat L'chaim.
Would you take the time? Why don't you both of you just like, it's a challah, who'd have thought? So are you ready? Baruch atah Adonai, Elohim haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz, v'te'avo. Grab a chunk, help yourself. It's challah, I know you want some. I want some. I don't even need challah anymore. Challah. It's the best part of Shabbat. Did you get these? I love it. It's like me. Buddies. Are you want me to just bring it over? So I'm gonna ask you to actually have that around. Can you do that part? Yeah, excellent. So while we are passing around our challah, anyone who wishes to grab a piece and have some, I would love it if you would turn to page 642. We are going to honor Reb Nachman of Wroclaw, also known as the Wroclaw Rebbe, by remembering that the world is a narrow bridge, and that yes, we do have fear, but we don't have to fear absolutely.
Olam kulo geshem tzamehod, geshem tzamehod, geshem tzamehod. Olam kulo geshem tzamehod, geshem tzamehod. All the world is a very narrow bridge, a very narrow bridge, a very narrow bridge. All the world is a very narrow bridge, a very narrow bridge. But the main is not to fear, no, not to fear at all. Loving is not to fear at
Shabbat Shalom.
Obi